Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I got an email from a gentleman a couple days ago complaining about how I rip on HOAs and HOA boards, homeowners associations. And he said, Steve, you always rip on HOAs. You never tell the stories that they do that are good. And he said, I've served on HOA boards and we've always been good. And he goes, and you claim that they're all bad, which I've never said. In fact, I've said specifically that HOAs are one of those things that some people like them, some people don't. That right there means that there's a whole range. And I've also specifically said that quite often the problems aren't necessarily the HOA boards or the fact that HOAs exist. It's quite often that people are members of HOAs without knowing what they got themselves into. So in honor of the emailer who said, Steve, you never do positive stories about HOAs, I'm going to read another story about HOAs. We'll see how this goes. From CBSNews.com, Andrew sent this. HOA management company charging residents for certified mail. Do not do this, said Colorado lawmaker. Brian Mass wrote this for CBSNews.com. Some residents of an income-controlled HOA in Denver are upset over the fact their HOA management company has been charging them $35 to be sent certified letters notifying them of potential fines for rule violations. The management company has also been charging residents $75 for certified letters notifying them they're behind on their payments. So one person says, one weed, and they charged me $35 just to send me the letter. She's been there for 3 years. She said, it's absolutely ridiculous. Nobody should have to pay $35 to get a letter. When she fell behind on her HOA payments, the HOA sent her a certified letter notifying her of the delinquency and charged her $75 for the mailing. Not far away, a neighbor who was also charged $35 for a certified letter letting her know she might be fined if she didn't trim the bushes in front of her house said, that's kind of an expensive letter. In a community of lower and middle income families where monthly HOA fees are just $105, a $35 or $75 charge to get a letter is putting a dent in some people's bank accounts. One person said it's $35. I can fill my tank with that. Last year, the Colorado legislature passed the HOA Accountability and Transparency Act, which was an attempt to improve communications between HOAs, their management companies, and residents. It was signed into law in June 2022 and required HOAs and their management companies to notify residents of various issues via certified mail and other means. The law did not specify who should pay for those certified letters, however. So the primary sponsor of the bill said the assumption was that mailing costs would be picked up by the HOAs and or their management companies using dues already paid by residents. The HOA dues they pay on a monthly basis should cover those letters, says the rep. She said the law was not intended to be weaponized against residents to hike their expenses. That's not the intent of this bill. This should not be happening. This should not be happening. So again, remember, HOAs can be good, they can be bad, they can be anywhere in the middle. Where they fall on that spectrum is up to you. CBS News Colorado tried via email twice to get a hold of the management company, but they did not respond to the inquiries. In communications with residents, they said the certified letter charges were an administrative fee to mail out the violations by certified mail. This is a charge for the management company, and this money goes to reimburse them for staff, third-party mailing service we pay to mail out these letters. The HOA was already paying the management company $550 a month for its services according to HOA documents. And when the management company did not respond to CBS News Colorado inquiries, the news station sent a certified letter to their Minnesota office. Cost of the certified letter was $5.01, far less than $35 or $75. And that's, of course, what they've been charging their homeowners. They should not be inflating the cost of the letters, says the representative. Do not do this. It is exploitive of the homeowner. So, meanwhile, another resident of the townhomes said, to me, they are double dipping, charging the HOA, then charging the residents. It's just literally kicking someone when they're down. It's low-hanging fruit to make money. Meanwhile, some residents pushed back on the certified mailing fees, and the management company actually resigned. And a new management company is coming in that pledges not to charge residents for certified letters. And by the way, it's not the management company's fault entirely, because they're working on behalf of the HOA management. And so the homeowners association, their board hires and fires the management company. But if the management company is doing something like this and they shouldn't be, the board can go, just guys, stop it. We'll pay you, but just don't pass that along. So it's kind of strange they resigned because I'm assuming they were making money prior to this. One person said, I don't think any of us thought this was justified. Not one of us. Meanwhile, residents have learned to question their HOA and its management company, and they're asking questions, they're getting involved. I've learned a community can be strong and come together and push back, said another person in the community. So again, getting back to the comment I said I got earlier in the email a couple days ago, is that there are good HOAs and there's bad ones. There's a bunch in the middle, all over the spectrum. And I've never said they are all bad. In fact, if anybody's ever actually watched enough of my videos to consider themselves familiar with my channel, they would know that at one point in time I was on a condo board. And a condo board and an HOA board are very, very similar. Very similar. Obviously, condominium and a home that's freestanding and a homeowners association are a little different, but they've got more in common than they have not in common. So I understand how these things work, and I've actually been on a board myself. So if I were to say that all the boards are bad, I'd be criticizing myself for the couple of years I spent on a board. And I would recommend to people who are upset by what their HOA boards are doing to get involved, like they suggest here. And that's what happened in my case. In my case, there were 176 units, I think, in my development. And when I moved in, the board was doing things I didn't agree with. And I met one member of the board, and I go, dude, what's going on? And he goes, there's a couple members on the board who are just crazy. And unfortunately, it's, they vote on stuff, and there's enough of them to... And so he said, we could really use someone like you on the board. At the next election, myself and a couple other people ran. We got ourselves on the board, and we started straightening stuff out. So obviously, they're not all bad because I was on one, and it wasn't bad when I was on it. But number two, to suggest that HOAs never do anything wrong is also a problem, okay? I mean, don't get me wrong. They are not all bad is not saying they are all good. And they are not all good. So if you think they are all good because you've served on a couple boards and you guys were good, that's a sample of one person or a sample of one person being on a couple boards. But here we have an HOA management company charging residents $75 to send the resident a certified letter that costs $5 to send. And so there's a $70 profit there. And yes, that's all they're doing is they're making a $70 profit on somebody. Why? Well, they did it because they could, and until now, they could get away with it. But now that it's been exposed in the media, they're going to stop doing it. And for those of you who are still out there going, Steve, all HOA boards are good. I know because I've been on two. They never do anything wrong. Well, then why did this HOA management company quit? And why did the HOA say we're going to stop doing this in the future? If it was righteous, keep doing it. Oh, it wasn't. So it's perhaps that this is the first HOA board in the history of mankind that's done anything wrong. Maybe that's it. I apologize. I just realized that. This is the first HOA management company to ever do anything wrong. Oh, boy. So, Andrew, thanks for sending that fascinating story. But I hear stories like this often. Again, I'm not saying they all do it. I'm not saying that. But, hey, if you made the news and you're in the news and it's a true story, well, we can chalk it up to them, can't we? So HOA management company charging residents for certified mailings. Do not do this, said Colorado lawmaker. CBSNews.com. Brian Mass wrote it. Andrew sent it. Thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional.